Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Today I'm going to be showing my D&D 5th edition books that I have both the standard edition, retail version, and the game store exclusive covers. It's not a comprehensive collection of the different covers that were out there, mainly because I wasn't really looking to collect the game store exclusive covers starting off. I could really, when they first started doing them, I could really only afford one or the other. And since I was using these and taking them to local game stores to run my RPG sessions for, I kind of wanted the ones with the covers that were not as susceptible to damage, I guess you could say. So the first few I missed altogether, so I can't talk about the ones that I don't have. So I don't have the Volo's Guide to Monsters cover. I don't have the Xanathar's Guide to Everything cover. I do not have the core rulebook when they re-released them as a gift set with the 3 core rulebooks and the Dungeon Master screen. I didn't get that because that was over $200 Canadian, and I have a hard limit of $100 for as like the maximum with tax amount of money that I'd be willing to spend on any singular item in my D&D collection. The only one thing that I have that was more than that was actually sent to me for review purposes. I don't have, like I said, the gift set with the alternate covers. I also don't own the Descent to Avernus alternate cover, nor do I have the Theros, the Theros alternate cover. I want to say those are the only ones that I don't have. I have a fair number of them here. So like I said, we're just going to go through and just going to share my thoughts and discuss them. And I'm going to try to present these relatively in chronological order. I'm probably making a couple of mistakes, and that's fine. So let's just get right into it. So the very first game store exclusive cover I ever bought was Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So this book came out, when it first came out, it launched right around my birthday. My birthday's in the middle of May. And this came out, I think it was like the beginning of May or something like that, a couple years back. And I decided that I was going to treat myself. I had a little bit of extra funds, so I decided to pick up the game store exclusive cover, and later on, I can't remember if this was actually sent to me by Wizards, if this was the first book that they ever sent to me, or if I just ended up picking up the regular edition sometime down the road. I think I may have had this pre-ordered from Chapters, which is a major Canadian book retailer, and I had this. It was like 30% off when I pre-ordered it, so I saved quite a bit, but I ended up getting this one first. Anyway, so the covers are, they're interesting. Now, this is one of the covers, and one of the reasons that I wasn't collecting the game store exclusive covers in the beginning is because they have this like rubberized sort of feel to them, or at least they did. I want to say the more recent ones have done away with that, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. But the issue was that this covering was actually really prone to easily rubbing off. And I'd seen individuals at, Adventurers League, when I was doing Adventurers League for the couple of months that I was doing it. And they had some of these, but you could tell that the sort of the texture of the rubberized coating was completely rubbed off in places, and it was super obvious. And it just really made the books look like, the covers look pretty rough and bad when you see like these worn out spots on them. And I was doing all of my 5th edition D&D gaming at local game stores, so everything that I was taking with me was being thrown in a backpack, or I was walking with the backpack, taking it off and setting it on the floor when I'm on the bus. So it just wasn't something that I was really overly interested in collecting. I will say, with this one, you've got Mordenkainen. It looks like he's sort of behind this device that I think is supposed to represent the Great Wheel cosmology, or some sort of device that he might use to travel between the planes. It's an okay cover. I think it's very, it's very, bright and colorful, and it's interesting to see like the different parts of his bodies that are contained in different orbs and where it's not contained there. But the cover doesn't really convey a sense of like foes or monsters in it. This almost looks like the kind of cover you would have on like a book, like a spell compendium kind of thing, in my opinion at least. So it's an okay cover, and then on the back you just have more of the apparatus. You do have what looks like an imp there, as maybe a familiar or something. Like I said, it's not a bad cover, but it doesn't, to me, it doesn't quite convey what the book's supposed to be about, which I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but it's an RPG book. You know, their covers are usually pretty representative. This one here, I think, does a better job of actually conveying. So you have Mordecai in here, and you're sort of looking over all of these different monsters. So you got like drow, trolls, you've got I think that's another imp, you know, mind flayers, a displacer beast. So you actually get a sense from this book that it's actually a monster book, which is essentially what it is. It's a monster ecology book, but you basically get the idea that it's a monster book. Looks like a Skull Lord there, which that's actually a really cool monster. I really like that one. So again, you get some really cool creatures here. So it does convey the sense that this is a monster book. You got the hook horror, Mordecai and the mind flare in the back with the apparatus in the background, which again, I do prefer. And I don't know how it's going to show up, but even though like this book has basically done nothing but sit on the shelf, I rarely have ever taken this off of the shelf, and I've rarely ever actually moved books that were directly next to it. So even with that little amount of wear or use, there are a few spots. I don't know how well they're going to show up on camera, but there are a few spots where that rubberized coating has been kind of rubbed off a little bit, and that's barely ever touching this one. So that was sort of the only downside. So if they had have gotten rid of that like coating and just had the artwork, which is something that they would do later on, then this cover would have been so much better. But as far as the artwork goes, this does a better job conveying what this book is about than this one. This one's a cool look. It would make a great cover for, again, like a spell compendium kind of book, or a book of artifacts or something along those lines. But for a book that's, you know, filled with new monsters and ecologies of existing monsters or creatures in the D&D world universe, I think this one just does a much better job overall. So that's that one. And because it has a rubberized coating, I'm going to set that aside from the rest. So up next, this is probably where my chronology is taking a little bit of a hit. Let me just move this over here like that. But what we have is this one's different altogether because it's not exactly your typical game store exclusive cover. This is the only exception to the rule, and I forgot to mention this, but with the exception of the one book I'm going to show next, the game store exclusive covers and the regular edition covers are literally just the covers. That's the only difference between the two books. The contents on the inside are the exact same. Page references and everything else is the exact same. So they're literally the exact same book. The only difference is the covers. There is one exception to that rule, at least at this point in time, and that's what we're going to talk about next, because we're going to talk about the Tyranny of Dragons game store exclusive book. Really, it's not even just an exclusive cover. This is literally a book that you could only get, this one here, you can only get this at your local game store. So the Tyranny of Dragons storyline, we have here Hoard of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. It was the very first 5th edition D&D campaign that launched alongside of the 5th edition core rulebooks. So this is all the way back in the summer of 2014, which is almost 7 years ago. It's just crazy to think of. That it's been that long, but you know, here we are, 2014. So it was originally presented as two separate books, and Hoard of the Dragon Queen launched right alongside the Player's Handbook, and I want to say that Rise of Tiamat released with the Dungeon Master's Guide, which was the third book in the series to come out. So originally it was the Player's Handbook, then I believe it was the Monster Manual, and then the month after the Monster Manual came out was when the DMG came out, and I want to say that's when Rise of Tiamat released as well, so it was a couple months in between. They did have the free D&D Basic Rule Set, the PDF that you could download off the website, which is still there, so you had that for like a warning experience and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, it was released originally as two separate books. And they never had Game Store exclusive covers when this came out. That wasn't something that happened until like a year or so later. But there was a decision made to take the two adventure books, Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat, and actually combine them into one consolidated hardcover. So with that decision, the Tyranny of Dragons book that we have here was only released as exclusively as a game store, well, I already said the word exclusive, so I don't want to use it again, but it was released exclusively in game stores. So this was not something that I don't believe you could get this at like major book retailers. It was never listed on Chapters, which is the Canadian one. I don't know about American stores, what they had, but this one's the only one that is really difficult to compare because the books are like, it's the same contents in this book that are in these two, but it's compiled and it's not direct, right? I will say overall, like, I like this cover. I think it's a really nice cover. It did get rid of the rubberized coating, so it's just a nice smooth cover. You have the heads of the 5 heads of Tiamat on the front there, and the back just has like the holy symbol of Tiamat and like the draconic runes and, you know, the symbols. It's a very nice looking cover, like the ampersand for the D&D logo there. So it's a very nice looking cover, but I do like overall the more dynamic appearance of the artwork on the two separate adventure books, especially the Rise of Tiamat, where you have Tiamat literally being summoned to the material plane, and the super, you know, close-up image of like her heads emerging from this fiery pit. Really, really cool. Horde of the Dragon Queen. You got the white dragon freezing, freezing. I think it's a barbarian. But again, really, really cool art. It's like, so this one I can't really compare the two because you get two covers versus one. And like, so this is a nice cover. I really do like it. And I do like this book because it is all compiled into one. But as far as overall artwork goes, I have to give this one to the original covers. So there we go with that one. All right, up next we have the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So this one, so the other two that I had shown were ones that I had purchased with, you know, my own funds. This one, this cover, and I think the rest of the game store exclusive covers that we have in these videos, or in this video, were sent to me by Wizards for review purposes alongside of the regular one. So again, you could sort of show them both off side by side and what they look like the actual physical books and not just the pictures on the website. But this one is a really interesting concept. And I don't necessarily think any of the other books did this, like took the same approach with what they did here. But essentially, the two covers are showing the same event, but from different perspectives. So you have the Kopru, or the, oh my God, why can't I think of the, I don't know, it's not a Kopru. I'm completely drawing a freaking blank here. But anyway, you have the Aquatic Monster coming up, attacking the heroes in this small sailing boat. You've got in the background, looks like a kraken or something, tearing at a larger sailing ship. So again, it's a really cool artwork. This one, the Game Store exclusive cover, is actually showing essentially the archer's point of view of this creature as it's emerging from the water. So you actually see it sort of like coming out of the water, and you see like the reflection of the sun, I guess the sun, or probably the moon actually, because you got like lanterns and stuff there. So that's probably the moon. You can sort of see the reflection of it in the water there, and then you've got the creature coming out, and I completely feel stupid for not being able to remember the name of it, because it's something that I've always known. Like, I could always tell you exactly what it was. Like I said, I don't think it's Kopru. I don't know why I can't think of the other one off the top of my head. It's late at night. I've been dealing with back issues, so I'm on, you know, pain medication, so that's probably part of it. But anyway, so yeah, it's a really, really cool cover. You know, again, you've got sort of the more dynamic, you can see the kraken in the background there as well. On the back of this one, you just sort of have like the, it's almost like a wall within a fortress underwater. You do see like a kraken's tentacle or an octopus's tentacle there. The ampersand logo, and you've got some more of these guys down there. It's a cool cover, and like I said, I do like it. I actually also really like the Ghosts of Saltmarsh logo, like that. the logo itself just sort of reminds me of like old school Greyhawk for some reason. I don't know if that's what they were intending to do or not, but that's sort of the impression that I get from it. So it is a really cool concept, a really cool cover. Once again, though, as much as I do like this cover, especially for like the different logo, I will say that I think overall the artwork on the Game Store or the regular edition cover is probably the one that I prefer the most. But you know, they're both cool. Like I said, I love the logo. I think that logo is way cooler than just the standard one. I wish they could have had that on there as well. But again, overall, I love this cover. Like, I love the colors on it. You know, the blues, the purple, the greens, the coppery color. The back looks really cool, but I still overall prefer the regular edition covers because you get to see more. Basically, you get to see more of what's going on. All right, up next on our Game Store exclusive cover list or video or comparison, we have Emberon Rising from the Last War. And I always mispronounce the name of this book. I always call it Shadows of the Last War, which I'm pretty sure was actually a 3rd edition or 3.5, because that's when Emberon came out. I think that was actually the name of a 3.5 module for Emberon, but we got Rising from the Last War. So this was one of those books where the initial cover got a lot of flack from people, which just had, it looked like an elf with some sort of construct, I think it was on her shoulder. And again, that was placeholder art. I don't think it was ever intended to necessarily be the final art, but they did end up changing it to this one here with the I think like the clawfoot halfling and the warforged. This cover, I think I would have preferred the other one because it had like a lot of blue. You know, you had some just really nice contrasty colors. There's a lot of yellow, shades of yellow and sort of greenish, brownish colors on this one. Not quite as nice in my opinion, you know, and you got the Warforged on the cover, which, you know, really makes it, sells it as an Emberon book, I guess. But overall, this, you got the Clawfoot Raptor there. That's the best part of this cover, in my opinion, is the Raptor, and it's on the back instead of like, I think it would have been better if the halfling was on the dinosaur and you had something else on the back, or I don't know, just the front cover looks really bleh to me when I look at this. But the Game Store exclusive cover, this one I actually really like. This is one of my all-time favorite Game Store exclusive covers because it actually has like the depiction of Sharn, the City of Towers. You've got the sky ship, or the airship with the elemental, the bound elemental that's used to fuel it, or to basically let it fly, have it fly. Again, it's not the most diverse range of colors here either, but this is sort of like a sunset scene, so it's still more colorful, in my opinion anyway, than this front cover. I don't know. I just think the contrast may be better. Maybe it's because it's darker tones and you got like oranges and sort of got like the purplish up top. Either way, it's a really nice looking cover. And then on the back, you've got the Warforged, and again, you got like the sky ships there and more of the buildings in the background. So overall, the Game Store exclusive cover for this one, I think, is much better. And to me, this is the kind of artwork that feels appropriate for a campaign setting book over this. Like, this is something that I might expect for like a player's guide or something. I don't know. I wish, you know, if the sky could have been blue, you know, I think it would have been better. They may be in the Mournland here, which may be why it's not great colors, but it's still, I don't know. I still prefer this version over this version by a mile, basically. All right, up next we have Rime of the Frost Maiden. So this is the 5th edition D&D adventure that I'm actually currently running for my monthly group. And I love the adventure, and I really love both of these covers. I think that they're both, you know, fantastic. I love, you know, just the menacing nature of the Frost Maiden with her, you know, winter wolves with the glowing eyes, and you've got the man basically frozen to death or freezing to death. a look of absolute, mortal terror sort of on his face, frozen into, like his expression's just sort of frozen as you have the Frost Maiden sort of reaching down. You got a little bit of what looks like a Aurora Borealis type of thing going on the very top of the book. And then along the back here, you've just got the Chwinga. These things have been popping up in basically, I think, every adventure since they first appeared, for 5th edition anyway, when they first appeared in the Tomb of Annihilation. Okay, I just want to make sure that wasn't a damage to the cover. So yeah, it's a really nice cover. It really conveys sort of a dark atmosphere for the adventure, which the adventure, sort of captures, I think, in my opinion. I'm really enjoying the campaign so far. So yeah, we just cleared the Dwargar stronghold, and the players are on their way back to Ten Towns. Now that's being besieged by the Shardlin dragon. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, this is a really cool cover. But I have to say, I really love this Game Store exclusive cover. Now with this one, it's sort of back to the rubberized texture. But I think overall, I want to say they did a better job of applying it on there. Like the only spots that look, they're not actually worn, it's just from like where I've held it. So basically it's just from like just the oils on my hand sort of thing. But you got the close-up of the Frost Maiden, you got the blues, the whites. It looks really, really good, and it's got sort of like a metallic sheen to it, which may not show up too well on camera, but in person it looks like, when you get it angled into the light, the Frost Maiden just looks absolutely incredible. And then the back cover, again, you just sort of got the logo, and once again, like in the right light, it looks absolutely just awesome. So this is one I think I'm really torn. I love them both, but I do think overall, just because of the way that the light can sort of interact with the Game Store exclusive cover, I think overall I prefer this version of the book over the standard edition, but they're both really good covers in my opinion. So there we go. All right, so up next, we've got Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So this one's going to have to be a little bit different because the Game Store exclusive version of the cover that I have was actually sent to me by Wizards of the Coast in a like a holiday gift bundle that they had sent me. I'd shown a video, or did a video showing all the things that came in there. I've been, periodically drinking the coffee that came with it. The coffee is actually really, really good. And the crystallized, the Swarovski crystal D20 is really, really cool. But they also sent me a copy of the book with my name embossed on the cover, and it is my proper name, so I really don't want that out. It's, everyone's entitled to their own personal privacy. Like, I put these videos out as a way to talk about things that I'm interested in, and try to interact with people in the comments if I can. But I still don't want like my actual personal information out there. I hope you guys understand. It's just a privacy thing. But anyway, so we have the actual covers here. So we've got, Tasha. Looks like she's brewing something up on the front cover here. Again, I like the contrast in colors with like the blues, the dark blues, and the orange, like the glowing book. And the back has just like the burning candles. I really like this artwork. The Game Store exclusive cover, I'm not crazy on. Now it does also have like the metallic finish to it, similar to what we had with Rime of the Frost Maiden. So I will say, like, when the light hits in a certain way, it does actually bring out the colors really nice in the cover. For example, like Tasha's hair actually looks blue. It looks like black when the light's on a certain angle, and it actually looks blue from a different angle. So that's really, really cool. This guy's eyes kind of light up. So like it is interesting. It is neat. And then we've got the back cover there with Baba Yaga's hut and some of the other, like just the book there. It's an interesting cover overall, but I like the Like this is sort of a more like realistic approach, and this is the kind of art like you'd expect in like a Grimm's fairy tale type of thing, which this book does have sort of a feel of that in there, so I get why they've done it. But overall, I just prefer the standard edition cover of this one as well. So that was Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And we only got 2 left, so we're almost done. Up next, we have Candlekeep Mysteries. And this is probably the biggest contrast in covers that we have, like from all of the ones that have come out. So here we have the standard edition cover. You've got the the characters, or the basically the heroes researching something within Candlekeep. You got like the stack of books, magnifying glass. Again, a nice array of colors. I do like colorful covers, I guess. So you've got the blues. You've got like the different color for the books. The darker colors here. Overall, like I said, it's actually really nice. You got the other shelves in the background there with some like shadowy hands sort of coming out of it. It's really, really cool looking. But the Game Store exclusive cover is really awesome because it's designed to look like one of the books you would find on the shelves at Candlekeep. So it's actually designed to look like a tome from within the game. So you've got like the gold embossed cover, and there is actually a little bit of texture to it as well. So if you rub your hands over it, you can feel where like the lettering's all raised, the logo and the fairies raised, the dragons, just really, really cool looking. And then of course the back has the golden beholder. Yeah. So if you know me, you know what my favorite D&D monster is, and you know that I have a bias towards anything that includes them. So it's probably not going to be a surprise that I prefer the Game Store exclusive cover just because of how different it is compared to the regular one. Like most of them sort of have different takes on the artwork from the standard edition cover, but this one is completely different. And I was trying to figure out yeah, so if you actually look, what's actually kind of cool, it might not show up well on camera just because it's really faint detail on here, but this cover is actually the cover on this book here on the cover of the standard edition version. So you can sort of see maybe a little bit of like the gold, like the bat hanging down. You can sort of see a little bit of that, some of the other detailing work there. So you can sort of see some of it. You can see Candlekeep, looks like Candlekeep Mysteries. So it's neat because it is a reference to the actual book that they're reading, and it looks like a book that you would find there. So I just noticed that actually when we're like right now. So that is actually a really cool touch. So I guess I take it back. It's not a huge departure from the cover of the book, but I do like the fact that it's actually the actual cover of the book that the characters are reading on the cover of the regular edition book. So I think that's a really clever concept and idea. So I really, like I said, I really, really like that one. And finally, we have the book that actually started the idea behind this entire video, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So we have the standard edition cover, and then we have the Game Store exclusive cover here. And it's honestly a toss-up. I think I've answered different people with different covers, which one I prefer. And it's really hard for me to decide. Like if I look at one more than the other, I tend to like that one more. So for example, when I answered the question in the comment section on the First Impressions video, or the video where the person asked the question of which cover I prefer, the last one that I'd really looked at was actually the standard edition cover. So I put my special edition covers or Game Store exclusive covers, I sort of put them in a different area, so they're sort of away from the rest of my collection. I tend not to use them because I don't want them to wear or get damaged or like scratches or anything like that on them. So this was the last one that I was really looking at. So when I answered the question, this was the one that I was leaning towards. But I did say in the comment that, it was very slightly, like I was slightly more into this cover than this one. But as I looked at this cover more, I started to think, well, you know what? I think I like this one better. So I'm just going to say it's a wash. It's a tie. I think they're both great. And I really can't pick a favorite. Like it's just going to depend on which one I looked at last, really, whenever the question's asked. So I'm going to say that like this cover, the variance between the two, it's probably the closest we've gotten to like just being paralyzed with like decision paralysis sort of thing. So you've got like the confronting Strahd on this cover here. You've got like Strahd looming in the background as more of a menacing threat than an actual physical force, which he looks like more physical force there. They both sort of evoke different senses or different feelings when you look at them, and I just think that they both really, really well done. And yeah, it's like I said, it's difficult to choose, so I'm not going to. It's my video, and I can cop out if I want to. So there you go. So let me know in the comments below. What are some of your favorite special edition or game store exclusive covers that you have in your collection? Do you try to collect them all? Do you prefer like one over the other typically? And are you someone that like collects both, or do you collect exclusively, game store exclusive covers if you can, or do you exclusively collect just the regular standard retail covers? Let me know in the comments below. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Take care.